Hey now, how is everybody doing? Welcome to Red Alert Diaries with Tanya E. Hood. On this podcast, we have conversations that's real talk, marriage, divorce, money, and legacy. And I want you to join me on this journey. I share the various insight from the numerous hats I've worn that have helped me develop a full range of strategies and actionable steps that I've used to help my clients make a strategic impact, both personally and professionally, to have better than what life has been given them. On this podcast, I wanted to challenge your thoughts and inspire you to grow so together we can operate in excellence. Today, I want to share a little bit more about how I really want to know what's going on next. I don't know if you are like me. I'm the type of person that would prefer the more detailed step by step plan about mostly anything that's going on. I don't like to be caught in a position where I'm not familiar and I don't know and I don't understand. It is in those moments that I find myself a little anxious to gauge what's next. But one of the things that I'm thankful for, I'm not like I used to be. Yes, I still want to have the plan. Yes, I still want the step by step process or the details about what's going on. But it doesn't bother me as much as it used to. You see, there was a time where if I didn't know, I would get anxiety in my soul that would sort of put me in a position where I sort of made everybody around me a little crazy because I wanted to get as much detailed as possible. So I would press and I would push and I would try. And if they couldn't give me the plan, I would create my own. That sometimes meant I was walking into other people's lanes, doing more than I need to do, causing extra stuff that does not need to even take place. One of the things that I finally caught the clue on is to just have faith that it's going to be okay. Now, when people hear the word faith, they often think some religious element that's way out there. No, 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 no. I want you to know that you exercise faith every single day. You have faith that you were going to get up and get out of bed this morning. There is nothing that says that you will automatically be able to do that, but you trusted it. You trusted that the minute that you woke up that you would be able to get out of bed. It takes faith to have that. Now, because you've been doing the same thing over and over again for a while, getting up, getting out, it is now automatic. You no longer exercise the faith that is necessary to make that move. You also don't exercise the faith to possibly sit down in a chair or use the phone that you're probably looking at and listening to this podcast on. You have faith that when you turn your phone on, it's going to do what it's been doing, let you see what you've been seeing. You had faith that when you sat down in that chair, that it was going to hold your weight, that it was not going to break. That takes a level of faith. And because it's something simple that you're used to doing and that you have consistently been doing, you no longer consider it faith. But I want you to know that it is. And the reason I had to gain enough clarity because when I took a step back and started looking at all the various things in my life, it dawned on me. I automatically trust that that stuff will happen. The reason a lot of people struggle to have a faith in something that's unknown is because you haven't walked through it. It's not something that you're familiar with. It's not the thing that you just get up and just do. And because it's not something that's an automatic thing that you have had time and time again to trust will hold you, will be present, or you will be able to do, you no longer think of it as faith. So the unknowns cause you angst. The not being clear about the step-by-step plan to get to wherever it is you're going will cause you to overprocess and do more than you need to do. Faith in the little things is a precursor to give you insight, to have faith in the bigger things. When it finally dawned on me that if I decided to have faith, that the dreams that I want to have will manifest, that is enough because the future is unknown. I can always decide that my future is going to be better, that my future is going to be greater, and have the faith that it will happen because the future is unknown. I am the one that creates the anxiety and the anxiousness of not feeling like I can get there because of wanting to know each and every minute step. You're not going to know everything. You are not God. But here's the next thing I learned. If I feel so uncomfortable about not knowing every minute thing, if I decided to put my faith in the creator of the universe, God made all things. God knows all things. He knows the beginning from the end. And since He is the one that is in control and knows all things, if I put my faith in Him, no matter what I come across, I'm going to be okay. Now, that was not an easy journey to get to, y'all. A lot of you know some of the stuff that I've gone through, and I have not always taken the time to trust God would be there and do it for me because I wasn't raised with that as an initial thought process. Yes, I've shared my religious roller coaster ride. So I've always believed in God. I've always believed in a higher power. But what I did not always believe is that that higher power would be there for me, would want to support me, would be able to have me count on them for the little things. So, the stuff that you think you can do on your own, like getting up and getting out of bed, you need God to even do that. So when I finally decided to stop trying to hold on the reins of life while it dragged me down the street, giving me bumps and bruises along the way, I got the opportunity to start living more fulfilled, more at peace. I started having a dynamic that I was always seeking because I took the time to have faith in God and God alone. I had to have faith that God would keep me in the middle of the storm. I had to have faith that He will walk with me and know that when I got to the place where it looked like it was dark and I was afraid of what was going to come next, that He would be there holding my hand and guiding me through. It was the faith that Jesus would always be present that helped me get through a lot of the unknowns. And I started with the little things, having faith that the chair that I would sit in would keep me, having faith that the car that I would drive would start when I went out to go and get in it. I'd already exercised those little things of faith. So I had to start exercising the faith that God would be there. And I'd started with little things. This is not something you got to do if you're uncomfortable with something major. First, you got to decide if you want Jesus to join you on the journey. And you would go to Him first. Because lots of times people that are religious, because I went through that too, use prayer and God as the last resort. They do everything that they think that they can do, that they believe will make this situation better. And then they find themselves further than they wanted to be, in more mess than they thought they would find themselves in. And now it's time to ask God to intervene on your behalf. No. Start exercising that faith earlier. When I started this journey, and a lot of you have heard this story, so it's a repeat for some and it's an introduction for others. When I was about to be evicted from my 2-bedroom apartment, first of all, I didn't want to be in an apartment, so it took faith to even know that I'll be okay in the apartment. So I'd exercise a little bit of faith there. And then after the divorce, when I discovered that I still had to deal with a 2-income household with 1 income, I didn't have the money to pay my rent. I was like on the verge of, Lord, what do we do? Because I'm about to be homeless. And instead of trying to go through all of the things that my beautiful, logical, analytical mind would do, come up with a plan for this, a strategy for that, and move through that process, I had already done a lot of those things. And I knew one more month wasn't going to make another difference because I had no better ideas this month than I did the month previous. So I decided to exercise some faith. And I went to seek God first. I picked up my Bible and I was like, Lord, I need help. And that is a prayer. All by itself, that is a prayer. And it was from there that I felt the insight to turn to certain pages that told me to go speak to my creditor. So I followed the principles in the scripture because that's when I really began to understand. The Bible is a strategy guide. There are strategies that are put in there, and those principles are principles that you can use anywhere. It's not that you have to believe in the God I serve, but trust me, when you do, you get extra support along the way. And so I finally decided to put the principles into practice and let Jesus join me on the journey. And what he said in that scripture was go speak to the person that you owe. So I went to the rental office to just get an idea of how long it would take them to put me out on the street and to have a conversation about if there was a possibility of doing anything different than that. When I went in the door, the lady asked me for my name, asked me for my apartment number. She went and pulled my file and she said, "Your rent is current. How can I help you?" That took everything in me to not to fall out that chair that I had to have faith to sit in, to hear her tell me that my rent was paid. Now I know that nobody I knew had the money to pay that rent. And I was clear that it was going to be the eviction notice statement coming next because I didn't have it. Nobody I knew had it. Nothing physically possible said that that would be covered. But that day, I decided to exercise faith and trust that if Jesus was joining me on the journey, I don't need a step-by-step plan to figure out how to get through this. There will be some way, somehow, because he knows everything and he's joining me on the journey. And I didn't make him last. He'll help me through the process. That was the day that I started exercising my faith a little bit better. That was the day that I started walking through, recognizing that even though I have a logical, analytical mind that still desires the process, the step-by-step moments, logic is not going to get me through some things. Being analytical is not going to give me some insight about how things are going to take place. I could have sat there and pondered how. I could have even gone into an explanation. No one paid this rent. How did they get paid? How is it current? I learned that day, trust the process, have faith, and let God be God alone. I came back after I got a copy of it because I'm still logical, still analytical. I wanted to have a record. So after I got the record of it, I went back to my apartment and I learned then that letting God join me early on the journey, not just letting him be on the back end of what's occurred in my life, I was able to be whole. I was able to get some more steps, and then I started applying faith a little bit further. See, if Jesus was going to pay rent, then I needed to ask for something bigger. So I asked God for a house, and I wrote out exactly what I wanted. 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, in-unit townhouse with a driveway, because I was tired of parking on the street, y'all. Do you want to know? 60 days later, I was in that 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, in-unit townhouse, a house that I still have today, a house that was my reset space, a house that has blessed me and blessed others as well. So when you let God join you on the journey, even if you are logical and analytical, even if you want a step-by-step plan, detailed and oriented so that you can feel like you are whole, letting Jesus join you on the journey lets you exercise the faith that you need to have bigger and better things later. And so for today, if you don't remember anything else I've shared, here's the one thing I want you to know. You already exercise faith. Start maximizing it for bigger and better things so that life doesn't keep tossing you to and fro, and then you can get where you want to be, living on the next level. And if you want someone to join you on the journey, feel free to go to my website, TanyaEhood.com. There you can click under the Work With Me tab and see the various ways that we can work with one another. And if you are on Instagram, you can join me live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we can continue the conversation or we can start a new one. In the meantime, this is Tanya E. Hood, walking in my purpose, and I want you to do the same.